No, here.
Rec- He has not yet.
That's a workshop again that I said I read in there.
Madam Chair, do you want him to start
Yeah.
recording?
Yes, please.
Are we recording? Oh, we're recording.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Opa-locka CRA workshop. We're happy to have everyone here today. We're looking for exciting time to learn new things and to get some great input from everyone on how we're going to move forward in the things that the CRA has on the table. We're going to stand, ask Board Member Kelly if he would give us a prayer, and then we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for all of the many blessings. We thank you, God, for the city of Opa-locka. We thank you, God, to come together. Give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Do all things which are pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Director and staff, for the great lunch that you all provided for us today. We're going to move right into our agenda. We're going to turn it over to Vice Chair Lakeisha Williams, that's going to take us through the workshop.
Beautiful. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have the privilege of moderating and facilitating today's discussion. This is a long time coming. We've all are very excited about the work that's been happening here within the CRA, and now we get to have really a visioning workshop to help us determine what are going to do with some of the properties that we have purchased. And so just as a space of grounding, I want to do a couple of things. So one, everyone should have in front of them the Opa-locka CRA plan that was developed, my God, many years ago. But this was created as the vision for the work that we would do here. And as I was preparing for this meeting, there was a paragraph that I came upon that I thought was really important. So I want to read it just to kind of ground us in terms of what we're doing. The purpose of community redevelopment is less about replacing what once existed in a place with more of the same and more about promoting something new or something better. Redevelopment is ultimately about fostering an appropriate fit between a place and the people who live and work in it, and in doing so, helping a community meet its fullest potential. And so my hope today is that we get to discuss and vision how we can help Opa-locka really meet its fullest potential. And so I have two goals that I want to lay out today, but then I want to open it up to you all because this is a workshop. This is not one-sided. The staff has done an amazing job preparing for this. And so I want to share two goals of what we want to accomplish today, but I really do want to open it up to hear from you all what you want to make sure you get out of this space. So one thing that we want to accomplish, we want to make sure that we determine the future use of purchased property. Number two, we want to make sure that we make fiscally sound, community conscious decisions about these properties. But then the question for you all, what else is there that you want to make sure happens within these next, I believe, 2.5 hours that we have together? Is there something that's missing?
Madam Vice Chair, thank you. I agree with the comments you made. I think the other thing we have to do is to determine also going forward futuristically what the staff is going to look like, what the structure is going to look like of that staffing, whether we're going to continue to go on the path we have now of the firm and settle in on that, or is the goal, as it was originally, to find someone? And again, I'm not advocating either one, but I think as a part of going down this process of this workshop, we need to at least begin to think about how we're going to deal with that. If we're going to settle in and lock in, our current, provider, we need to do that. But what I don't want to see is to develop a plan of what we're going to do and then have to change in midstream because the dynamics of leadership change in terms of um, management.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing that I want to see occur, and I really want to see that occur as a part of any long-term discussion or strategy that we have. Because as I looked at the information going over it, even with the properties, even with some of the things, and you're correct, we need to determine what we're going to do, what we feel we want to see happening, and the staff has laid out a good plan, but we need to make sure that people are in place to facilitate that plan, whatever it may be, whether it's strengthening the staff we have, adding some kind of components because of what we're dealing with in terms of our vision for the properties, as you said. So I think that's, to me, is a major thing we need to make sure we lock in as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Anything else?
Uh,
Go ahead.
after you?
No, go.
Okay, then thank you, Madam Chair and Madam Chair. Yeah. In the two goals that you mentioned before, for these properties, it is my question. You mentioning something about the public people or the city resident. We're supposed to listen and let it know what it really we want to do in all these areas that we have and all the property that we own. How's that if we not pushing to bring into these workshops?
Beautiful. So if I can articulate back what I heard, one of the goals that you just asked about was how do we make sure that we're receiving feedback from the community in terms of what we're discussing. So I know that our administrative team, they sent information out to the community. I know that you have in front of you some feedback that we've received. And perhaps maybe as a part of this discussion, if we think that there's some unresolved topics, if there's other ways that we want to seek input from the community, maybe that's something that we can discuss. But what I hear you saying is how do we make sure that we're getting feedback and we're incorporating that into our discussion?
Yeah, good. I believe in that feedback that we have here writing, for sure. But I know many other people, okay, they really like to see people, in person all the time to discussing what we're gonna do, okay, in the future. I'm talking about, in the future. I believe in that, but I believe better when I see people here and they discussing together with us what is the really, auction that we have and what is the people want to see in the changes that we planning to do in the future to the city.
Yeah.
In the infrastructure. I told Madam Chair that they probably are not going to be longer in the meeting, but one of my question that I want to say is, and I think the chair member Kelly mentioning, when we have proposals or we have development that they want to come to us and dealing or do business with CRA. Okay, one of the bigger problems that we have if we take too long to make a decisions, okay, for this type of situation that presenting to us. One of the properties that we have in 27th Avenue in Alibaba, that Chinese restaurant.
Yep.
I think that's one of the first property that we purchased.
So I want to bring us back, if
Yeah.
it's okay, because
Yeah.
the purpose of this discussion right here is just simply to talk about what are our objectives for today.
Okay.
We will get deep into discussion. So and I know you have to leave early, which is more of a reason for us to move through this section of the agenda. So let's pin that for just a moment and we'll get there. How's
Yeah,
that sound?
but I want to call the attention of everybody
Absolutely.
for the members of the chairs. Okay, it is what I see in some of this property of Mr. Jason. Okay, we have a day that we spend the morning and beautify and put it nice. but we have to be careful because I see people at nighttime just go in and live there
Okay. I'm going to
by the Chinese restaurant.
I appreciate that comment. Thank
Yeah.
you. Did you have something?
Yes, I wanted to say, I'm in agreement with all of the things that I've heard, your goals as well as the other board members. I would like for us to have, uh, uh, sh- if, look at our plan and, in making decisions, decide whether or not we're going to try to further. I don't know, we have to be, make sure we're aware of what's going on on the state level, but also, do we want to make 5-year goal and then a 10-year goal? Not knowing what the status of the state is going to be. And also, how do we help our CRA become self-sustainable?
I think those are
Just in case, there's not a CRA, what are we doing to make sure that we're self-sustainable?
that is a really good point.
And
And
one of the things that I think, as Board Member Kelly mentioned, is that making sure that our staff is in place and, we're moving forward in that area.
beautiful. So I've noted all of this that you all have mentioned. I'm sure staff has written it down as well so that we can make sure that we are working this into the conversation as we go along. So I'm going to do just a really quick overview of what you can expect over the next 2.5 hours, and I'm going to pass it to staff to jump in. So first, we've started out with our welcome and objectives. We are then going to go into a portfolio review. So everyone should have in front of them the different properties that will be up for discussion. You've got papers that talk about City of Opa-locka owned properties, but we're going to start to talk about what are these properties that we are discussing, and what is it that we need to know about the properties as we make decisions. From there, we're going to go into an internal panel where we're going to talk about development and disposition options. So once we give an overview of the actual properties, then we're going to really start to dig into what are the development options. From there, we will go into a roundtable discussion between all of us to begin to think about what does prioritization look like and what potential property uses would we like to see. From there, we will do a bit of a matrix exercise to help us kind of narrow in on our ideas. And then we're going to close out this meeting with a roundtable discussion and really action planning based on everything that we have discussed. So that is what we have on deck. I think you've got a comment. Tell me.
I wanted to know, we do have residents in the audience. Are we going to be receiving input?
So yes, and so this is an open discussion. It's a workshop. So I don't think we have anywhere in the agenda where it's the one time that they get to come up. I think this is an open discussion between all of us, but please do correct me if I'm wrong. Open discussion. So folks can come up as we are going about this.
And we also have, Madam Chair,
Yes.
we also have written comment. We have one written public, what do you call it? Public comment.
Yes.
I don't know how you want to deal with that. We could just pass it out to you, or I can read it into the record when we get to that point. And I just also make a point to Board Member Santiago. I think the staff did a great job. I know it may have been short notice. I'm not sure. I think it was done on time, but I've never had so many people call about this workshop that couldn't make it, asking if they can view it online. So I know that even before we walked down, somebody said, "Can you send me the Zoom link?" We told them go on YouTube and you can watch it. So people are interested. I think I got 4 or 5 phone calls of people wanting to watch it, and we have one person in the audience today, and we also had someone who sent in a very detailed public comment.
Very detailed.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd also state that it's important for us to indicate the number of ways that residents can submit comments after they view it online, or to get feedback that they couldn't attend. I'm working.
There you
There you go. Sorry about that.
So let me just repeat. I think it's important for us to mention the different ways that folks, the residents can submit comments post this workshop, and to let it be known that it can be fluid. That the workshop is not always is what's discussed and it's what's on paper, but their input is continuously recommended and needed in order for the strategic plan to have life.
Very good.
So with that, I will turn it over to staff to go through the portfolio review.
Chair
Yes.
and our moderator, this is pretty quick. The first property that we have is the 391 Opa-locka Boulevard. The folio number is there. The type of space is the office, commercial use. The lot size is 10,800 square feet. We're missing one property on here, 879 Fisherman. I don't know the details of that one, but I can, that's the turkey restaurant in the back. That's not on here. I just noticed. Peggy.
What location is that?
879
Mhm.
Fisherman
That's the turkey,
restaurant.
okay, I thought that was all a part of,
It's a part of 8391, but it's separate.
but it has a
Yeah,
separate
879.
portfolio?
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about the old Ida's restaurant?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The one in the back here.
Yeah.
Yes.
That needs to be added there.
They the same folios or no?
No.
The
Okay,
two
got it.
separate
I
property, yeah.
thought they were
Okay.
together.
879 Fisherman. So we have 391, which
What is the address again?
879 Fisherman.
What's the size?
I'm gonna have to get that for you. They'll work to get that number for you now. Miami-Dade.gov. And then the next property is the Chinese restaurant, which is 14401 Northwest 27th Avenue. It is right now, it's been used as a restaurant space. The total lot size there is 9,140 square feet. 240 Bauman Avenue. 240 Bauman is the address that we're going to use to refer to the church, but that also has 4 separate folios on it. But we're just going to use 240 Bauman as the one to cover it all. The total lot size for that, now it's larger than this, so we need to get the correct square footage, because that's only for the 240 Bauman. It doesn't include the other 3 sites. But that's 10,800 square feet. 2145 Alibaba Avenue is a vacant lot, and that was 4,800 square feet. And we'll explain that purchase, I guess, later on during our options. But that's the overview of the properties that we currently have under our control.
So I just looked up 879. It is 1,636 square feet.
Thank you.
1,600, how much?
36.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Oh, question. When you say this is the only properties that we have under CRA control, what happened with the rest that I have here?
What do you mean?
With the rest of the properties of 31 Opa-locka Boulevard?
391, you mean? Oh, they're the same one.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
They're the same properties.
Okay, this is only the property that we own.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one we have in the first patient. Okay.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. That's the
You're
same
looking
thing.
at the option review side of the same
Yeah.
properties.
Okay. No problem.
Can I dig into the church compound? So I think you mentioned that there were other sub properties. Can you explain that to me?
So if you look at the, it's not numbered, but if you look at the church property, I think it's on the second to the last page.
Okay. Yep.
Second to the last page. You'll see the church property where the structure is.
Yes.
That's 240 Bauman. That's one folio. You'll see another structure there where the nursery
Mhm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
That's another address. That's another folio. If you look at the parking lot on the left,
Okay,
that's another folio and another address. And if you look at the property on the right,
Portfolios.
4 folios.
okay.
That's another folio and another address. But we're just gonna use 240 as the overall.
Sounds good.
So those are the properties that we have under our control. There are other properties that we are looking at currently. We're looking at, I don't want to say it on the record, but we are looking at 2 more properties downtown. We have a contract out for a property with 2100 Lincoln, which is that blue convenience store across from the former county property that they demolished. Maybe doing some housing over there. And we also have been in
That's the
discussion.
east side.
That's over here. 2100 Lincoln.
Yeah, that's the east side.
East side, yeah.
Yes,
That's the east side of the city.
yes.
East side triangle.
The triangle. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And then we also have been in conversation with the Ball property again, to purchase that or do a lease to purchase on that. So we're currently working on purchasing other properties. The issue always is money. We can finance. The issue with finance is the time that it takes. In order for us to go through financing, we would need approval from obviously this board. We would need approval from the city of Opa-locka board, city commission, and we would need approval from the county to get a loan to buy any of this stuff. So the idea would be to, if we can pay cash like we did this year, move things around if something comes up and just pay cash for it. But that deals with the actual properties that we own. So I don't know, moderator.
Of the properties that we have, mainly the one, 391 Opa-locka Boulevard, and 240 Bauman, have we looked at, other, potential, acquisitions or people that are looking at doing other things in those areas? So it would kind of give us an idea as to uniformity, as to what's going to be going on in that downtown corridor.
We are looking, as I said, at purchasing 2 additional properties within that area. I don't want to say those properties
Yes,
out loud, but it would go in line with the church in the pink 391 building, and then we would control basically the entire block. We have had discussions, unsolicited discussions with developers, people that have come in that they know that we purchase and they've had ideas. These have only been, I probably would say, 3 developers, serious developers, have approached us about it, and they all seem very serious at the time, but no one has submitted anything to us yet. But if they do, we'll be ready. I guess I should say this now. I've already hired a firm to help us with the RFPs, because even if someone submits to us an unsolicited proposal, we still have to submit an RFP. So we've started to work on that process already. So we're going to do an RFP and it's going to be very broad, but it's going to be an RFP for all of these properties. Because either you all are going to decide to do an RFP, or we're going to be forced to do an RFP because someone solicited a proposal. And we hope to have all that done by, I think, the end of September, early October. We'll have all these things done and ready to go, whether either when you decide or someone decides to submit an unsolicited proposal.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Or what,
Yes.
yeah, but what I
Yes, speak into
wanted
some-
to,
You need to speak into the record.
what I wanted to follow up on, what I mean is like, I know we have a downtown master plan
Yes.
that the CRA has in lieu of this development plan. So in that downtown master plan, I know that there is a plan as to what we're looking for in downtown Opa-locka. So in looking at the properties that we've purchased along that corridor, are we looking at that downtown
Yes.
master plan? Okay.
Yes.
Can I clarify? Come on up. Give me 2 seconds though. I want to clarify. Is that downtown plan a CRA plan or is that the city of Opa-locka's plan?
It's two.
It's
That's a
two.
good question.
It is combined? Like it is
It's not
both?
combined, it's
Oh,
two.
there's two separate. So so CRA has its own downtown Opa-locka plan.
I wouldn't say it's a downtown Opa-locka plan. CRA has a redevelopment plan
So this,
that includes the downtown.
okay, beautiful. Okay, we're on the same page then. All right, just wanted to clarify.
Madam Chair,
Wait,
Yes.
hold on. Can-
before your question, just quick to make something clear. Any plans, the city administration, when we're talking the city administration is we're talking about commissioners and managers and all the stuff, okay? And the CRA department. I think that they have to be combining. They have to be together, okay, with that because it's coming from the same place. One of the things that I that I see the CRA is a business, okay? When you purchase anything in the city, you're doing it with a purposes, okay? To bring a new infrastructure, new ideas, and many other things. Okay, and keeping keeping the property for a long time is not. I don't think that is bringing too much prosperity. Okay, to our city. For stopping here, Madam Chair,
Mhm.
is both department working together because anything that I believe that we decide here, they have to go back to the city commissioner to be approved. It means the plan that we have. I don't know the plan that you have before for the city downtown, but how long the plan is been done? How many years ago?
The CRA downtown plan, it's kind of old, but I think to answer one of your questions, I know that the director and the manager have been do work together, and whatever plan that we have, it has to coincide with what the city is doing. I know that to be a fact.
Yeah, that's a big review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let
Yeah, let me just say this, because
Commissioner Shep-
I'm glad we're having the workshop, but I don't want us to forget while we're here in this capacity.
yes.
I had asked the manager, the director, and the city manager a couple of months ago to start talking about downtown, because you do have the CRA, you have the city, but of course, at the end of the day, it needs to mesh into one plan. So I know they're meeting, but what has to occur, the city's looking at its properties, and obviously that's a commission decision. I think we have to decide from a CRA standpoint is what we're actually going to do with those properties. Do we want to be in the business of just as the director said, to put out the RFP for development, or do we want to say, here's the development we want? I think that's why I've been waiting this workshop, because I really want to give some direction to the staff what we want to see. We got the plan. The original plan goes back to 11. Really didn't get going too much later. But what do we want to see? Because you got folks who want to push the needle of what they want to see. And the manager and the CR director is, they are talking and meeting, which you said, Madam Chair. But I want to really hear from us on 391, 27th Avenue, 240 Bowman. That's what I want to hear, our thoughts collectively, what we want to see, to give staff some idea of what we want to see. What we want to see on those properties. If we want to just not hold on to them, as the Commissioner Santiago said, and get them out of there, that's fine. If we want to develop them over a period of time before we totally have somebody else own them, that's fine. But I think, what do we want to see downtown? Because reality is, with the purchase that we made and what the city owns, for the most part, we control downtown. Whatever that's going to be, we are really in control. And I'm saying that going all the way from off of 27 coming around. I know we own some properties, the city side or whatever, but we effectively own downtown. Now, the question is what we're gonna do with it. That's what I want to hear. That's really what I want to hear. I think we ought to have this, or I think we ought to have that, or we ought to have a mixed use. That's what I came to the workshop wanting to hear. So the board, so the director them can hear that and come back to us in the next setting and say, based on what you all want, this is doable. Here's our suggestion. Here's our recommendation. We got the properties. That was the first step. But we've been sitting on these properties for a while to get to this very workshop. And obviously, I wish everybody was here, but for those that are here, I want to hear your thoughts. I think 391 ought to be whatever. I think it ought to be a mini Miami Lakes Main Street. Or I think we ought to do some mixed use development with some retail on the bottom and housing on the top. Whatever that may be, that's what I hope will come out of this whole exercise today.
Yep.
To give staff that. And I know Jim wants to speak.
Yes, and so I will say we're aligned in that. So we've got that in the agenda, and so we're going to make sure that we get to that.
And I just want to second that. I'm Merrick, 1211 Perry Street. Second that. I think for me, just hearing the idea of purchasing property as a future income generating source for the CRA, because you talked about sustainability, but acquiring property that's already generating income is one of the things that I'm interested in hearing more about, because if the sole goal is to purchase with the hope of something in the future, are we not also looking at places or purchasing things that bring in income currently so that they feed the source? Not sure of the number of businesses up for sale or the property that's up to sale that have current or present tenants that are adding to the income of the CRA, but are we also looking at that? Because I think it puts us in a very interesting perspective when we're only buying or investing in properties that lead us to gains farther down the line, where they're not immediate and they not come in, and people may come in with an idea and you're constantly incentivizing. But are we also not looking at things for future purchase? Is that's what we're talking about, where we're also saying, well, you know what, this business is doing pretty good right here. It's right in our downtown area. Are we also, and they have a building that they're using or not owning, those kind of places, is that not a part of our structural plan? I think is what my question would be. And it all goes aligned to what you mentioned before, Ms. Russell, which had to do with, Madam Chair, the sustainability of the CRA. And, you know, these things, as you're probably aware, take time to develop, take RFPs, well, you know, and then you're always also deciding, in a sense, which type of businesses are we going to hear? All of that sounds like years down the line to me. It doesn't sound like anything in the immediate future, because you're going through several different processes. None of them have immediate feedback. But what is it that can be purchased or people interested in right away that brings in money, that shows some already occurring income? Just a thought to place on you, Mr. Director, to just think about that thing as we had this conversation.
Thank you so much for that. So I can hear the hunger to get into the idea generation part of this workshop. We wanted to make sure that we are all grounding ourselves in the same facts before we do that. But I'm going to move us to the next section, which will give us a few more facts, and then we will get to idea generation. So I believe Mr. Walker and Mr. Senior, you all were going to do a presentation about the development and disposition of the options. So if you all can come up and share with us what we need to know about these properties, then we will get into idea generation.
I mean, we can go to the next page, which is the options review, and it's really not that complicated. 391 Opa-locka Boulevard currently has, Jerome, correct me if I'm wrong, we have 6 bays there, 6 bays, and out of the 6 bays that are there, 3 are currently occupied and 3 are currently vacant. The property needs significant upgrades. It's in very poor condition on the inside, and it would take a lot of money to repair. And we've gotten some estimates, and again, these are rough estimates, over $1 million to repair and fix up the 391 building. There's roof issues.
391
The
is a
pink
corner
building.
here.
Yeah,
Okay, good. Yeah, go.
yeah. So we can either so there's three tenants there. There's three vacancies. The rent right now is month to month. They've been month to month. They were paying only $500 a month in rent, so it's really not a money generator. And so we can have the option of either resolving to spend money to fix the building up and re-tenant the building. They're like one of the comments in the public comment that was written was maybe repurpose it for gallery space for artists. I know that 10 North had an interest in possibly using it as gallery space and fixing it up and doing art residency there. Or you could keep it the way it is. I don't know how you spend money, that type of money, to fix it up to be something that we should own, because we shouldn't own something that looks like that right now, and then only collecting $500 a month in rent. So we would have to get new tenants that would be paying more money to justify putting that amount of money in upgrades for that building. So we would re-tenant. Is it called re-tenant? Am I saying that right?
Madam Chair. Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Jason. Okay. I heard you say that you or the CRA collecting for that interior corner right here. How much did we pay for that property?
That property was $1,675,000.
$1,675,000.
Yeah,
And we only collecting among $500 for rent.
correct.
Well,
Is a board member, Santiago, is because when you purchase the property, you buy it with the tenants that's there. And if you purchase the property and you have to buy their lease, if that's what they're paying, you have to buy it like that. You could maybe next year when their lease is up, or
they don't have no lease there. They are month to month.
Okay.
That's why it's only
So
a question and a point of views and suggestion. Okay. We take a lot of risks there. Okay, when we keep people like that. Okay, and we collecting only that type of money. Okay, this is already your property, and you pay a lot of money for that. And the way any property like that produce or generated revenue is doing something else that we know that it's going to bring to the city budget, many and many thousands and thousands of dollars a year, okay, coming from the central government, Dade County, to us. For me, right now, we had something that not produce anything. That $1.5 million that you spend there in the bank is maybe pay you more of that a month or a year. But right now that's what we have, and that's what we had to come with something else to make that city look better in the plan that we have for that town, Opa-locka, and we had to come with something better.
Thank you so much for that comment. I'd love to ask if you can maybe get through your presentation and then we can get into the idea generation. It's a really good point.
So the other option would be to sell the property. And the other option would be to redevelop the property by sending out an RFP to developers. And to the point of Vice Mayor Kelly, when we do that RFP, we can do that RFP as broad as we want or as narrow as we want. And we can put into that RFP exactly what we want. So if you want to say, I want a certain number of units, I want these units to be at this level of affordability or non-affordability, you want to market, whatever you want, you can put in there. And the developers would have to abide by what you put in your guidelines you're not leaving, are you, already? You're my helper. You're advocate.
No, I excuse myself because I'm traveling today.
Okay.
Okay, and I do my best, to come here, and this is a very interesting workshop. Well, I make a comment to my colleague, uh, the chair, Ms. Russell, and I say it is good to we repeat or doing a second workshop for this situation. It's very interesting. I know we have a very wonderful idea, and one of the idea is to make the city go up, okay, and change the whole infrastructure that we have in downtown.
And I don't think you would object to me sharing in the public forum your comments to me about your thoughts in this yesterday, when we met yesterday.
This property,
In general,
In general,
he gave me his thoughts, and I would like to, when we get to that point, since he won't be here, I would like to share his thoughts with you
okay.
from our meeting yesterday.
Yeah, it's not a problem. Whatever to all my colleagues, okay. I'm really always, to work together, okay, to make this place better. Okay, and we had to do whatever we had to do to change it. And I think that we have to have the same mentality, everybody, and doing it together.
yes.
Okay. But it's a lot of things good coming to the city. I know.
Yes.
I know. What you hear, Miss Russell? Yes.
Can I ask something of the moderator? Can we take them property by property? I'm like 68, so I don't want to lose my thought.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're still on 391.
Yep.
Okay. Can we give input, or you're finished giving your
I'm curious, are you thinking, do you want to start to get into the idea generation? So if I hear you correctly, what you're saying is like you want him to present and then you want us to talk about that property?
Yes.
Okay.
I prefer doing it like that. That helps. That.
I'm not opposed to it.
What do you think, Board
Does
Member
that
Kemp?
work? Okay, sounds good. So then we're going to stop on 391 so that we can have a discussion about 391.
And my first question would be, Board Member Santiago, I would like to see us get rid of the current tenants that we have, because it's not beneficiary to us. And every time I pass by there, it looks like they're not doing anything to try to stop having all of that stuff outside. And I don't know whether you could even get them to stop, because that's the way they run their business. So I would like for us to look at, since they are only month-to-month tenants, how can we go about that process of giving them a few months to let them know that, we need to change the look of downtown. And, you got 3 months to move, to find someplace else to go. They've been there so long, I don't know whether they would have a deposit, or I don't know whether you got that information in the closing.
We did.
Okay, as to whether they would have a deposit, but it's probably such a small amount.
It is.
But I'm quite sure that we can work out something to where we could, the first thing is to make the building look better. So,
Okay.
board members, what do you all think?
Madam Moderator, if we're going to do that, and I have a problem, you have the management company on board, or are you still handling that yourself, or?
We're handling it ourselves right now. We have all three, proposals available. I've been out for 12 days, so I'll be making a decision about that this week.
Okay, I'm only asking that because whether you're doing it or the property management, I don't disagree with the idea that we need to give them, all the tenants 3 months or whatever, till October 1 or something like that, so it won't hit them. And then we have if there's deposits that come back, we would do that. I do know the pros obviously is steady rental income, but more importantly, I like the idea of we maintain ownership. I really don't want to give away property yet to anyone. I think if you put some potential nice tenants in there, It can be not only generating revenue, but it also allows us flexibility as times may change. You can do a year's lease or something, so if the dynamics of the community or something changes and you want to, have a new type of tenant in there, you could do that. I see your cons. It requires marketing and whatever. But again, I think with the right kind of tenants, given that this would be on the front side of the street with some other development that I know is possibly planned, I like that idea. As you said, and I was going to mention what you said before I did, while you're working on any any RFPs, whatever, you can make them broad to where if we decide to go that route futuristically, we could. But I think that that's the way I look at it. We need to, yeah, we need to change that look and that image as well. I don't want to say get rid of, the lease just ran out, and it's month to month anyway. So if you're in July, August, September, so even you said November 1st or something like that. So they have plenty of time to, but the other part is you'd have somebody on board, because I don't want the idea of you having to run around trying to put people out and I didn't get the letter saying it's my last week. I don't want that drama either. And I think that would also allow for potentially the RFP, if we even contemplating that, or somebody just comes lay something on our lap that we just can't resist, still allows us that route. I will say we're kind of talking about the front end, the front part, and again, I refer to it as the old items in the back. I'm mindful of that as a part of this discussion for where we at now. That's probably where I would look at it. I don't want to sell it at all. So if I were giving you my thoughts on it, it would be the lease new tenants and looking for, as you say there, attract some long-term commercial tenants based on what we want to see. And I'm saying all of that in the context, of course, on the city side with Historic City Hall, we're looking at trying to do something that attracts folks downtown and some of those spaces too. So I don't want to have too much of one thing and not enough of the other. So I say that to my fellow board members with that caveat as well.
That's why I asked the question to the director, was he aware of any other work, anybody else that's planning to do something in the downtown area, so we won't have 5 wash houses or 5 grocery stores. We'll have a variety of things that are needed. And I agree with you with that back property, the back property. I wish that we could do something like a sit out restaurant or something that the community, not only to draw people from the outside, but also something that the community folks can take advantage of. You have City Hall right here. I don't know where y'all go for lunch.
Not here.
And then you have Amazon. The people are always walking to the Tri-Rail station in the afternoon. So I would like for us to look at something that not only draws people to the community, but also us as a community can use as well.
So I'd love to jump in here. So I echo everything that my board members are saying, my fellow board members are saying. And so I think as we think about all of these properties, some are going to have short-term strategies and some are going to have long-term strategies. And I see this one as having a long-term strategy. I absolutely agree that we should not sell this property. I absolutely agree that we should hold on to it. I absolutely agree that we should invest in this property in order to remove the tenants that are there and potentially get other tenants. And when I think about getting other tenants, what I am holding on to is how do we use this opportunity to begin to activate downtown? So I believe for the most part, downtown is pretty quiet after 5 p.m. It is quiet on weekends. And there are 6 bays that we have that we get to activate and be really intentional about what we put in there. And so I think as we're thinking about the tenants that we put in there, I think we think about it from that perspective. So is it retail? Is it food service? Is there something that is community facing? Is there something related to activating from an arts perspective? Because now that then complements what's happening at the Opa-locka CDC. You've got the tri-rail that comes into here. And what I love about also this space, it is very close walking distance from the tri-rail. So if you had people coming to Opa-locka on the train, now they have access to a handful of different things that they can do. So I would just ask that as we think about the tenants that we put in there, we don't just, I love your point, Madam Chair, of like, let's look and see what we have in order to figure out what goes in there. But I would love for us to take it even one step further to think about what allows us to activate Opa-locka in nights and weekends. And I want to be clear, I'm not talking about we need a bar in there. Like that's not what I'm talking about.
We do.
Okay, there's, and that is up for discussion. But I would love for us I'm gonna skip. We're gonna move past that because that is not what I was trying to say here. But what I would love to see us do is just figure out how we get some retailers in there that don't just close down at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, but that it really energizes our community beyond just kind of the work hours. Mr. Merrick.
Don't say bar, say lounge.
Now,
Oh boy. Oh boy. Now that has opened up a can of worms.
Just say nightlife.
like,
I like nightlife.
well, I'd like to go-
Nightlife.
I'd like to make a comment after Merrick.
Yes.
So I heard what the director said, and I'm listening to you guys, and two things kind of hit me at once. One is the director said specifically it's going to take a lot of money to fix this place up, to make it livable, suitable for business, suitable for disabilities, suitable for all these things. Is that a task that this group wants to take over? I think that's one question. The other question is, these type of intimate, very delicate decisions about business should be made by the business community and the people that attract business. And I think when we mention this option of 3 of redevelopment, it just goes on to about partnerships. I think it's wonderful. I live in this community. I would love to see all those things you guys just said: a bar, a lounge, a restaurant, all that stuff. But I also have been coffee shop, and I also have been in real estate for 30 years. And I do know that these decisions based on wants and desires don't necessarily match up with what makes business sense. I mean, we can want a lot of things that don't really attract the type of businesses or the type of people who can sustain the business. I think that I've heard the idea of not selling, which I think is great. Obviously, holding on to real estate, but it just seems, and I think I also heard the idea of removing the tenants, because you're right. Since day one, since I've purchased in the community, they look horrible. And as a broker for years, they don't need to October to get out. They need 15 days and then they're done. Just so you know, after that's all they're required. But the business redevelopment partnership issue may be a route that we really have to investigate, because it will take substantial cost to make that place up and running. I've been in there. I was very interested in when I first came in and looked into the building and the unit, and I knew what decent bathrooms look like. I saw what the old turkey place like after they ripped out the AC, which is not there anymore, and it just gonna cost a fortune. Adding on the cost of already purchasing the building, and taking the risk of also fixing it up, I think it's really a big step. It took years to get City Hall going, and to find now an appropriate tenant to do it. I think that if I had to encourage Jason in any way, it would be to look for, not to clean up the building itself first, get those tenants out so we have a nicer walkable city, but then to look at a really intimate partnership with the city and with a business that hopefully that's been around, that can draw the type of audiences that we want in our city, but by no means have non-developers, non-business owners, non-people who are experts in that field deciding who, what, and should go in there. I do not think that's the role of this community. I think that our role is to supplement and to help provide guidance and listen. But I do not think that this particular group should be selecting the type of businesses, because business doesn't flow simply because of what we desire. I want a coffee shop. Or I think our last city manager said specifically we were going to get a Starbucks. And I said, no, we're not. Because that's driven by foot traffic, that's driven by cars, that's driven by interest, that's driven by people in the neighborhood, that's driven by incomes too. Who wants to pay $20 for Starbucks? But we have to be more, I think, strategic, and like you said, Ms. Russell, every single project. But in this one, it's gonna cost a lot, and all I hear is time. How long will it take to make this building inhabitable for a good tenant? I can tell you right now, you're already talking years. You're going to talk about the permit process. You're going to talk about getting that roof right, getting those driveways correct, getting the right bathrooms in there. What is it that we can do today? And I think that would be more of an interesting perspective, because I checked number one because I thought, I'm sorry, number three, option three on your list, to find out, are there people willing to do it? And I just think that I would hope that this group would be open to that suggestion. And Jason has some ideas as to who could help us get in that realm, not the realm of choosing businesses, if that's possible. So that's all I wanted to have.
Madam, let me respond to that.
Yeah.
One of you, I appreciate your comments, but one of the reasons why you have CRAs is to take on exactly what you just said, because we're not driven by a developer or owner who is very time conscious that bricks are $1 a day and bricks are $2 next week, because in those kind of areas, you have those challenges. The advantage of the CRA is because we own the property. Again, as the chair mentioned, 3-year, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, whatever. But being a CRA, we don't have that same pressure, but we also have dedicated sources of funding that we're going to get every year. So even if we don't do anything, but, and again, I know you said 15 days, but that's probably more perception. We ain't going to kick them out in 15 days. That's why I say, because they'll holler, I have nowhere to go.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, and we'll be on the news for trying to create something better. But that's the advantage of the CRA. And again, if you heard the director, it doesn't preclude us from at some point, if somebody lays something in our lap through that RFP process, that we don't take a look at it. But I don't look at the time frame as quite as quick, because that's why CRA is there. If you look at some of the development taking place in the Omni and other places, it didn't happen overnight, but now we're looking at it going, wow. If you look at 7th Avenue, CRA corridor, with some of the improvements, it took 3-4 years. Now we're saying, wow. But that's the purpose of the CRA, is because we know it's going to be properties or development or opportunities that nobody else would touch, because everybody's trying to maximize their dollar and benefit as quickly. CRA says, yeah, we want to do that, but we want to also make sure that not only get it right, but it's something that is sustainable. And so while I agree with you on the one hand, always keep in mind developers and business people will be at the table. And I'm quite sure that's going to be in place, because we might, like you said, I heard that too, Starbucks. I heard, building something on 27th Avenue with a Chinese restaurant that I don't think is sustainable. And I'm sure the director, because of his experience, although he may hear it, if someone brings something to his lap that says, we can make this work, and here's the data, and we believe in it, bring to the board, we might do it. But here's the good part about it. Because we own it, we can create that partnership. I.e., we just want to see a restaurant in the old Idol's Place. That's what we want, because we believe we need it for downtown, people at Amazon, whatever. We can say to a restaurant chain or restaurant person who may be even in a food truck, hey, we want you to come in and set up a brick and mortar here. And as opposed to you going somewhere else and getting a 5-year lease and having this or that, we're going to work with you. And maybe we're going to create it so we understand that first or second year is going to be challenging. So we're willing to work with you because we believe in what you're doing and whatever. But we want a restaurant or some eating place or some outdoor. That's the advantage we have, because we can create it like that. I think what we are now is just to say, director, here's where we're going. I think like a major step happened today. We want to keep it. We want to find some kind of potential development, but number one, we don't want what's there to be there.
And I don't think that we disagree, Mr. Kelly, Vice Mayor. I think that's exactly what I was saying. I think that what I was hoping to make clear is that the operational piece of this needs to be a partnership. And that partnership with the CRA to come in and do that. The building that we're speaking about, specifically 391, and that building is not a building that's suitable for a good tenant. It's gonna take a remodel of some sorts. It's gonna take it's gonna take a huge, reinvestment. And I think when I say partnership, that's exactly what I mean. I don't think that this is instantaneous, but I think that finding the right partner in what I think you said, a redevelopment mix, does work for us. What doesn't is fixing it up and then just looking for tenants to come in and occupy it.
I think we're on the same page on that.
And I think we're on the same page. I really don't think that we disagree on that at all. And I think the having the monies to support the businesses is surely what a community that doesn't have very many businesses needs. So I don't think we disagree.
And also, I would just like to add that I think that when we're talking about 391, and I know we're gonna go to the other properties, we need to start somewhere. And so if 391 has to be the starting point for this CRA, we need to start somewhere. Because if we don't do something, we're gonna end up just sitting on the properties and waiting on an RFP. If we start, we have what, 5 properties, 6 properties, maybe 7 or 8 before the end of the year or 2 years. If we start with this one, I don't think we should sell it. I think that needs to be our signature project. And like Board Member Kelly said, we have the means and the wherewithal to get it done. If we decide that, okay, we want to work with this to make sure what we want to see across the street from City Hall, right down the street is the old City Hall, beautiful building, and we want to bring something, then you're going to see other businesses along the way. They're going to jump in. I mean, I went in Diaz the other day for the first time in a long time. They got a full food bar and everything. And that store has changed so much. Now, I don't know what they're planning on doing with the rest of it, but he's planning to develop because he brought a plan to the CRA some years ago of what he wanted to do. But he's not waiting until he gets to that point. He's doing something now to get those people to come to that store so that when he does develop, he already have an audience of people. So I don't agree with selling. I think that we need to look at businesses. There are many businesses that are looking for some place to go. And I don't know whether we can use this. If you build it, they'll come. But I believe people are looking, and even with the people that are moving in Opa-locka, they're looking to do something in their community. So I agree with my colleagues up here that Mr. Director.
And then I'm gonna sit down, Mr. Director. I'm gonna just say that I think that I think we're all kind of saying the same thing. One of the things that we said was that the cleaning up of the property and removing the tenants. I think that issue alone and cleaning it up, even if it's just a shell, because many businesses buy shells, they really do, because they want to fix it up to look the way they want it to look anyway. If they want to envision it away. If those spaces were possibly empty, a sign went outside and cleaned and painted, and the city in a partnership agrees to reinvest some of the costs. So everybody's got some skin in the game here, right? The business put some in terms of rehabbing the community, the business and the space, and the city adds, the CRA adds something, then it's like a win-win in terms of a partnership. Okay.
That's a really good idea. I've seen that happen in other places. So thank you so much for those comments, Merrick.
I think I've been really good. That point.
You have.
So I'm gonna give my opinion on this property. This, I've heard people say we need to have income generating stuff for the CRA, for the city. Just let me put this into perspective for you. In the past 18 months, the CRA has spent just did the calculation, $5.7 million on property. We have an annual budget of, I think this year we're going to come in right over $3 million. Okay. So listening to you all talk, the first thing I think we need to do, that I would need to do what you want to do, is get a real number on how much it costs to fix up just this one building.
Mm-hmm.
Just this one building. And by the way, when we early on, when I first started here, and how we became interested in this building is because originally I wanted to rent the space on the corner. I wanted to rent the space on the corner because I thought the CRA should be out of the fourth floor and on the street. And so that's how the discussion became, and it turned into us purchasing the place. But when I brought two contractors into that corner spot, and I told them to give me an estimate on how much you think it would cost for us to build out this space. Nothing exciting, nothing, over the top. Just let us come in here and occupy this as an office space, the bathrooms, the roof, the electrical. How much do you think it would cost for me to do this corner? And the estimate from both contractors for that one corner was over $500,000. That's one of the 6 bays that are there. So if you just go off that estimate, we're talking about, we have a budget of $3 million where we do other programs as well. So for us to, I want to get you a real cost. I'm going to get you a real cost on how much it would take to bring the building up to par. I think we should do that. Number 2, when I approach to buy these properties, because people were talking about generating revenue, bringing people to downtown. Well, how do you bring people to downtown? And also, you talk about bringing retail stores, and all people look at the demographics around the area in which they're going to put a store, and they're going to see who's going to want to, who's coming to patronize these businesses that are here. One of the main things that you need to do in order to have people come patronize is to bring more people to the neighborhood. So my whole thought, just to make this simple, behind purchasing these properties were to level them. My idea would be to get the tenants out and demolish both the old restaurant and the Pink Building. Demolish it. Put up a park space in the meantime. Put up some type of temporary use space. You want, maybe food trucks or something. I don't know. Temporary retail space, a market or something. But demolish the buildings, tear them down, crush them, put grass for green space, or do some type of make it pretty, and it costs less. It's going to cost us less than spending money to fix up the building, right? And then what I think we should do is send out an RFP to develop this. You could probably put 80, 90 units on this just one site. You can put 80 to 90 units. Those are the people that are going to be coming to, and I'll let you guys decide whether you want affordable housing or whether you want market rate housing. But those are the people that are going to come. Those are the people that are going to come patronize the businesses that would be at the bottom of these buildings. And you have the developers do that. We don't do anything. We've done our job. We purchased the property, and we won't sell the property. We'll just do a lease. We'll just do a ground lease for the developers to be able to have the opportunity to build on it. We'll do a ground lease, retail, and units up top. And I'm talking about a project that is, $150, $200 million. $150, $200 million project on 391 and we'll get you these numbers later, generates taxes for the city, major taxes for the city and the CRA.
Rental,
Wait,
I want to know.
Anything, the taxes are based on the building.
Oh, okay, okay.
So if you build $150 million building on that site, and we can get the numbers for you on what that brings in taxes, that's where you make your money. That's where you benefit the CRA and you benefit the city. And so to me, to kick the tenants out and re-tenant the place, spend money to fix it up, that's not an option for me. I mean, obviously you guys make the decision, but we just don't have it like that, as they used to say. We don't have it like that. We've spent our money. We spent $5.7 million in 18 months, and we only have $3 million in recurring revenue that the Vice Mayor just pointed out. But out of that $3 million, we have a housing program that we're fixing up people's housing. We have a commercial rehab program. We give money. We put money this year to give to the city to fix up the parks. I think we put what, 250, 220? No, that was just a transfer. And then we put another 250, I think, in for parks. And then there's 220 for police. Then there's a code enforcement officer. And that 3 million starts to come down quickly. And we don't have that type of money. And we haven't gotten to the rest of the properties yet. We're stuck on the first one. So for me, my idea would be to demolish the place, send out an RFP for a developer to come build housing, whatever type of housing you want, put retail space at the bottom, generate new taxes for the city. And we do that on this property, we do that on the church property, and I'll get into this later, but we start working on seeing what we do with this Opa-locka state property in the middle.
Yeah.
Because if you get all of this redeveloped, and they just changed the zoning at the city, I believe, to go 10 stories in this area, I mean, you could create a major, Opa-locka won't have a financial problem ever again out of the development of this downtown. So that's my 2 cents.
How many of the properties on the list, Mr. Director, would you say falls into that model that you've just expressed?
3 out of the 4. I think it's like 3 out of the 4.
3 out of 4.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for that. You and I have had lots of discussion about this.
Commissioner Santiago agrees with me.
Okay, I thank you. Thank you for putting that on the record. I do appreciate that because we want to make sure that his voice was heard. So I know that we are deciding to have this conversation property by property. And I do think that there is a discussion worth having that is what is the larger vision for all of it? Because I think different properties can play different roles. This is the one property that I am actually interested in like holding on to in at least the short term and not rushing to redevelop it. I agree with you in terms of the church building. This is the one that, in my own opinion, that I'd like to see us really hold on to and be able to activate in this way. And again, I think you brought up a lot of good points in terms of all the places where our money is going, which I would offer to this board that we probably need to rethink our strategies because we got our hands in a lot of different buckets at this point. And I think at some point we're going to have to decide which buckets are we going to go all in on and which buckets do we perhaps pull out in that allow us to do a lot of this work. And then the other thing that I would love to offer as you go out and start to really figure out how much it will cost to renovate the property, I'd actually love to see, I think the word is a pro forma. I don't know if that's the right language, but I would love to see something that tells me you got 6 bays. Once we renovate it, this is how much we could potentially make off of it so that we also then understand not just how much we're putting out, but how much is coming in on a regular basis. And I want to echo my fellow board member here when he talked about the role of a CRA, right? I think that there's some long-term strategies that we're going to make. There's some short-term strategies that we're going to make. We're going to make some strategic investments to show that we can activate our community and we can get people who will come out and support. And so I want to make sure that we are not going in and turning Opa-locka into Wynwood and into some of the other communities where you take and you throw up buildings. And I know that there is a huge need for affordable housing. I know there's a huge, and we've got the space, we've got the buildings, we can do those things, but I would love to see us take, I would say multimodal approaches. So like, how do we take different approaches to these buildings as opposed to just going in and throwing up a bunch of buildings? So that would be what I offer to this group.
Well,
Before Merrick speaks, I just want to. This is why it's all my career. I've always had 5 or more bosses. This place I have 7. But here's how I don't know how we put our arms around this. So there are 3 other board members that are not here. 4.
Yeah.
And I've heard from all of them because you all had me call all of them and talk to them a couple months ago. And so you feel this passionately about this property.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that there are other people that feel passionately about the same thing about the property at 240, the church property. Keep it the way it is. Let's make it into an art center where we do like they have in Overtown. They have the what do they call that, Sandy? No. In Overtown they have the church that they turn into.
oh, yes, I was just there.
Oh, I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about, the Performing Arts Center. over there.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
was just there a couple of weeks ago.
OPAC.
OPAC, yes.
OPAC, yeah.
Let's turn it into OPAC. Let's do that. And they feel very passionate about that. So all I'm saying is that we don't have money. We need to make money.
Yeah.
And the way that we make money is through taxes and the tax base, not from rent, from the tax base, increasing the tax base. So now if you feel passionate about this and the board agrees here, and then the board, then we go to 240, which is the next one, and we start talking about that, and then that board member who's not here, wins on that, then we're just at the same place where we're just stuck.
Yeah.
Because we're not generating any money. We put out all this money and we're not doing any, and then now we're putting more money to fix up the church and the place. I just don't see how that's sustainable, but that's just me.
Well, let me ask you something, Mr. Director. So, if we look at your approach, flatten it, and you say, do something temporary, whether you do food trucks or temporary retail, everything is pop-ups. What length of time are you talking about before we move into that realm of housing?
I say that it will be shorter than us, a lot shorter, 5 years probably shorter than us spending millions of dollars to fix that place up. And if you spend millions of dollars to fix that place up, you're not getting anybody to sign a lease for 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, they're gonna want you're gonna want longer leases than that to pay yourself back for fixing up the building. So now we're waiting another 5, 10 years before we see downtown Opa-locka redevelop. Or you can tear it down now and you could begin that process of throwing up buildings as the vice. You could begin that process.
In her words.
You can begin that process earlier, before the 5 years, before everybody's termed out and everybody. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in 5 or 7 years? I want to get started now. As the vice mayor said, he actually mentioned the Omni. He is right. Those things didn't happen overnight. A lot of those projects I started, they got ribbon cut while I was here. But we started them 7 years ago. So my point is that we don't want to wait. Opa-locka's been waiting long. Opa-locka's been waiting long enough. And if we're serious about the business of redeveloping this area, then let's redevelop it.
Okay, before, you
Go
gotta
ahead,
wait, you
Russell.
gotta wait, you gotta wait. So you're trying to convince us, all three of us that are up here are basically along the same lines. What say you?
I was gonna let me speak first. Miss Russell. Let me speak
And also-
first. Talking about a man that bought a house 3 years ago. Chaz.
One thing, and I want you to be able to go. We only have limited amount of time. We're going to have I think we got 75 more minutes for this workshop, and we're still on property number 1. So I might encourage us to have discussion, but not feel like we have to get to a decision today. Hopefully this gets us closer, but if we can't get to a decision, I do want us to be able to get through some of these other properties and have the rich discussion. So I just want to add that, because otherwise we will only talk about one property in 3 hours. So
Thank you
over
so
to
much.
you.
Jason, man, that was so refreshing here. I think because you and I haven't had a chance to sit down and talk like that. But I just think what you said makes perfect sense. Because if you look at it, and no one here is a predictor of what the future market could be. Retail space is dying everywhere. Everybody goes to Amazon. Everybody goes to these places. You can't get good businesses in to pay good leases in really high traffic areas, downtown New York, all these places, because people don't want to pay it and they can deliver it for free. We can't be the consumers of that. Also, we have a city hall here that sits vacant that generates $0, that spent millions of dollars. I don't even know when that thing will generate money because it takes so much uplifting to get places like that, to get people involved in marketing and things like that. I think the idea of stripping down these buildings so that that you use the new age thought of bringing in market housing, because that's what's desired here. No workforce, none of that stuff. The market determines what people pay, not cities shouldn't be doing that. And we bring in people that really want to live, and retail space is attached to that. As you know, this has been happening long before. The reason you see Publix in a lot of places and mixed use buildings is because people just want to walk downstairs and get their stuff. They don't want to have to walk forever. And the shops that you see now, they're just so convenient to people. That's really all they want. They don't, and developers can do a really good job of bringing people who have a problem finding any kind of living here in Miami-Dade County. They can build the units people desire and want to be in. And he said that's the only way for us to bring in tax dollars here. And it would make so much sense to just knock them down, because the money it would cost to rehab those buildings. And I have been in the business of trying to rehab a 100-year-old house for 3 years now. That the cost on a 1,700 square foot house is almost what it cost this man to redo just the interior of the space. And you're not talking about just a residential place. You're talking about a commercial building, which has higher needs and desires. It would take up all the budget and all the time simply just to put people that may decide to get a retail space. Juice to Find is over there now sitting with other places that are empty beside it. If they're not filling those spaces and we're not overrun, how can this be so different? So I asked this board to really think about what Jason said. I'm just hearing this for the first time, so it's very interesting to hear your perspective, because I think it's point on. I think that that's the only way for us to kind of shift the dynamic here in this city, to knock it down, make it look like a pretty park, or our food trucks, so we can see some beauty in the city. I don't think that building has historical significance in that way. That can't be, reimagined in some way. But I think we really have to look at that to really kind of change. I don't think these ideas of trying to rent it out to people that aren't willing to pay rent, if you just look around at the other places, we got places up and down Alabama Boulevard that people aren't using, that aren't, and how does that do it? So thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I hope you guys hear my feedback, but I think Jason's on to something here. I really do. I think it's good advice.
Madam,
Yes, sir.
yeah, he's on to something, and that's the challenge I have. Because you're on to something, because that's the easiest thing to do, is to put up a building and people wind up in it, And we throw those terms around. I've been hearing it since I've been in office since 2000. Market rate, affordable, workforce, all those terms get, but developers are looking where they can get a pot from this pot of money, that pot of money. I can get 40% of my money from here, but I need 10% of low, 125% medium income, which could change the whole dynamics of a place. You know, you can't restrict on this, so I get the unit, then I sublease it to somebody else. All those little intricacies, and we see it happening here in the city with apartments that were supposed to be workforce and affordable. And I think you know what I'm talking about. We got the same challenge. Now,
But
I don't mind seeing some tear down and put up the building, but what I don't want to see is all these properties. So now, and I know that some of my colleagues, because they've kind of hinted at it before in some workshop, that they want to see potentially the church in one way or another. But I don't want to see is every property you have knocked down and just put up some housing. That's what I don't want to see. So again, I'd like to see that break down how much it would cost because you gave us a number, and obviously just based on that number, if that's correct, it would make sense to tear it down and do something. But if we're going to do that, then I don't want to see some of these other ones just become housing. Because all that housing, I can tell you with nowhere to park, and I know some of it will be designed with parking inside of it. We all know that's not going to be reality. And so that's the real challenge I have. So I want to hear the rest of the discussion on some of the other, particularly 240 and whatever downtown. And I'd like to know the cost of if you're going to rehab it versus knock down based on the, I guess, the proposal you already got for just this one bay. Because my thinking was the same thing. CRA would be on the corners, our signature building or whatever. So whoever we're leasing or whatever, we got a central location, not just for that, but for all of our housing and help deeds or whatever could go there. And I still think we need that. I still think the CRA needs its own place, not just here on the fourth floor. So we do need that. So I'd like to get that information. But if this is going to be that, much cost and it's much better to go out for development with the potential of retail on the bottom and housing. But I'm leery of any housing now because I've been around long enough and I've heard every proposal from every developer there is about every picture, every beautiful this or that. At the end of the day, 2 years later, I'm getting calls. People are in there that ain't even working, let alone workforce. And unless you craft these agreements or these leases, and I know cities have tried to craft them, and there seems to always be some loophole that allows folks to allow percentage of tenants and or folks that are leasing out of it and doesn't become what you want. So if we can get that information, I would appreciate it. I think you kind of hear our sentiments. I'm open if this is so high to knock it down. I'm not saying necessarily put what on it, but to knock it down for the RFP process or whatever. I'm not opposed to that, but I am opposed to seeing everything go up as brick. It's just buildings.
Thrown up.
So
I would-
just
can
let me
I-
point out one thing to the vice for the comment on something he said. The difference between the housing that you're talking about in the past is that, and you guys have said this over and over again, is that we own the building. And so when we send out an RFP and we come up with an agreement with a developer, we say this is what we want. If you don't respond to what we want, you don't win the RFP. You have to respond to what we want. And then again, I said this when I started. I'm indifferent on whether you want market, workforce, low income. I'm indifferent. That's for you to decide. I do think there should be structure. I think it's going to build up the tax base of Opa-locka. But you decide when you send out the RFP of what you want to see. And if a developer doesn't respond to what you want to see, then they're marked as unqualified. And if they don't, unlike the properties that you're talking about, and if they don't agree, because when these things get done, they get audited every year, the units get audited every year. and if the developers aren't following what the original intent of the RFP was, then there's something in the agreement that this guy writes where the building comes back to us.
Yeah.
So we have teeth. So it can't happen the way that it's been happening in those other places because we own it.
Yeah. So I want to take a moderator's privilege here because I really do want to move us to the next item. I'm going to take moderator's privilege and I want to just add one more comment is that there are developers, as you all were talking, there are developers who have purchased a lot of property that are planning to build a lot of housing. And so like I want us to think about what we have the ability to do compared to what other developers already own property and are planning to do. And I wonder if there's some room for the working together versus there being just a whole lot of property, a whole lot of housing all across Opa-locka. So or downtown Opa-locka. So I just want to add that piece. Tell me.
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
Finish what you.
Oh, I'm moving us to the next item is what I wanted to do.
I wanted to make a comment, Sandy. I wanted to make a comment as we move to that next item. So, Mr. Director, can you please tell us that is 240 Bauman, is it also one of those parcels that you want to make a recommendation that is torn down also?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to go there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to 240 Bauman.
Well, see you.
Tear down.
But Marlon has to.
Tear it down.
Marlon already called and explained he has to fly to a funeral out of the country, so he has to leave.
Thank you
Okay.
for being here.
So he's leaving and Ms. Weeks is coming up. Is that how we're doing it? Pro bono, pro bono. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, we're feeding you lunch, so we can put it.
Sorry, ask that question one more time.
no, I think we're just gonna go to 240 Bauman.
Oh, yes. So
The question
Yeah.
was 240 Bauman, one of those places also that you want to tear down?
It's just a cheeky
Because
resistance.
if it is, now you've heard the sentiments of us that did not want that to happen on the previous property. So, Board Member Kelly says that, we have some people, and I've heard it too, that they want to keep the church, for whatever reason. So, we know where you are with that. Is tearing down 240 Barman align with that whole line that you're looking at? Because you said you're looking at a line of properties. So 240 Barman is a part of that, looking at that line. So that will be part of the tear down.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Throw up.
yes, ma'am. Now on that property, since we skipped and moved to 240, on that property, we can't move as fast because there's a lease in place that expires in 27. And if that lease is broken, we would have to pay, which is not a problem because we won't pay it, we'd have a developer pay it. But that tenant would be entitled to, I believe it was $250,000. But so that one is a little slower because we would have to wait to 27 if we wanted to get the tenant out. But yes, and then I'm just going to put it on the record. The other idea would be to purchase community health, and the other idea would be either through the CRA or the city to purchase community health and to purchase Chen Medical
Med?
right here.
They just built that. What makes us think that they would sell that?
We're still leasing.
Oh, they're leasing.
Yeah, and
Okay, thank you.
then we've gotten word that from a board member was approached, they approached us that they are willing to sell. So because they see that we're in the market, so we haven't had a conversation yet. This has just been a conversation between a board member and myself about their talks with these people. But the idea would be to buy either through the city or through the CRA, if we can afford it, to buy this whole block.
And that whole block you're talking about, all housing.
Yeah.
Let me look at this.
So while you look out the window,
And don't get me, and the vice mayor knows a lot about this as well, but I think we should dream. I think we should dream. And I think we should begin Mrs. Weeks, I'm glad you're here so you can listen to this conversation because somebody needs to address this issue with the state and this property over here. Okay.
Can you provide some information if possible on what that means?
Well, not, not at this time, but the short answer is we're looking at that
Okay.
for the city. Because there was the way it was structured, possibly come back to the city if the state is going to sell it so I don't want to say any more because.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
But
But for me, especially that site, because that site is a huge site. And if that gets developed, I mean, again, you're talking about how does the city make money to pay employees, to pay police officers, to pay for public works, to pay for flooding infrastructure? Through taxes. That property is sitting untaxed right now. Our property, because we own it now, we just lost revenue on it because we bought it. So we need to put those things back on the tax roll in order to generate money for the city.
Oh, really quickly, just so I understand, and I promise I'm coming to you really quickly, so I understand we can't do anything until 2027. What is your recommendation? Because there's portfolios now, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a church, there's a daycare. What is your recommendation on the site between now and 2027? And then I believe after 2027, it is building housing. But what is it between now and 2027?
So on this one, it's different because community event space is an option. The church is and whenever anybody wants to take a tour, just let us know. The church is in impeccable condition. It's not the same thing as the pink building. It's an impeccable position as if it was a house, you would say bring your toothbrush, right? You could walk in and do anything. So I would not be opposed to creating a community space or an OPAC because we don't have to spend that much money to do it. As a part of these proposals that we're looking at with property management people, a part of that is to look at fixing up these places, at least like paint, landscaping, things like that, small things that we can do so it looks better. So the church, I would not be opposed to, we can lease it out. I've heard that as a church, there are people that have, weddings venue for, from what I'm hearing, it's one of the largest churches in this area. So for people that want to have weddings, people want to have funerals, people want to have regular church service, people want to have performing arts, we could rent it out as a space like that because we don't have to spend much money. The bathrooms are intact, the office is intact, the carpet is clean, the pews are clean, everything's clean. I would want to paint the outside. I want to paint the fence, and I'd like to do some landscaping. And other than that, I would not suggest that we tear that down until we start to do something. Why? Because you can use it as a temporary space until something is decided.
Okay. All right. Thank
Can
you.
I just add into, I guess my question would be to this board as to their concerns about the type of housing that comes into the area and why would they be concerned for more housing? I seem to hear that there is a desire not to have, and maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's not. It's
okay.
not the
So
design.
maybe
It's
help
just that
Wait.
for me,
Not
I don't
to
want
have
a whole
housing?
lot in one area if it's not desirable housing.
So I will say for me, I'm interested in us thinking strategic. So I'm not opposed to housing. Let's start there. I'm not opposed to affordable housing. I'm not opposed to workforce housing. I'm not opposed to market rate housing. I am interested in us not looking at the spaces individually, but looking at it as a whole, as a community. There are other developers that are doing housing here, or planned affordable and market rate and workforce housing that I want to make sure that, again, it doesn't become all housing, that there's still an active downtown community. And so I would love for us to see that. And then also I am interested in what are our short-term strategies versus our long-term strategies. I don't think everything needs to immediately be torn down and we do something, we build housing immediately. So I'm also interested in what we do now and what we do later.
Would your concern be mixed housing? Is it because?
Don't have concerns with any of that.
So your concern is not that there's retail and housing, it's that any of the housing you think that needs to come into the area needs to be vetted for the type of people coming in?
Absolutely not. No, 100%. That's not what I'm saying.
So can I make a point on this issue? You keep saying that about other people have other plans.
Mhm.
And I've heard about these other people and I've heard about these other plans. I've heard about them in the past.
Mhm.
Since I've been here, there are probably 3 or 4 developers that I've met with that own property that have plans that have requested money from us for developer assistance. Nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Nothing's happened. I've been waiting on, somebody asked us for $1 million. They're doing a $65 million project. And they wanted a $1 million grant from us to help with some of the infrastructure stuff. And I actually put some aside in our budget, which, if they don't happen, then we have $1 million there. If it doesn't happen, but we've been waiting on their letter of finance because we're not going to give somebody $1 million without making sure that the project's going to happen. We've been waiting on that letter for the past 10 months. The point is that the plans have been there. People have been there. Developers have been there. 10 North, Opa-locka CDC, whatever. They've been having these plans for many years. That's not my job to worry about what they're doing because I don't know what they're doing because it's not done. We're in an opportunity right now where we're sitting in the driver's seat and we don't want to be them. At least I don't want to be them.
Just can I add on to that too?
I want to make something happen as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And if we have the ability to do that, I'd like for us to do that.
Yeah, and thank you so much because that was my same feeling, actually, to be quite honest with you, because just like Jason just said, I've heard this time and time again, but yet I don't see anything going up and I don't see any ground cleared. This idea of workforce housing, market housing, obviously I've made it clear I'm all about market rate housing. But if you have the property and you have an opportunity to move forward with it, why wouldn't we be in the position to do something like this immediately? To clean up our current hazards. Everyone knows that plaza over there is a hazard. It is. It looks terrible, just like other businesses that we've seen here. And if we couldn't, the idea is to demolish it and actually get something going and done. I think that that's what we should be doing. I don't think we should be the ones, this board itself, concerned about all the types of housing that goes up in this market, but that something gets done. And I think that's what my concern is.
Well, Mary, I think we all are on that page. It's just that we've been around a long time and we know that sometimes, you also have to take the community and the people that are here in the community, you have to take them into an account as to whatever we do. So I know that I want to see downtown Opa-locka developed. I've seen projects where they have housing on the top and businesses on the bottom. I have a friend that's, she has a program and they are doing a great job with some developers that's incorporating what she wants into the housing that they're putting up. But I'm just trying to envision, since I live here and, I may be living here for a while, that if we get all housing throughout all downtown Opa-locka, what is that going to look like? For me, Jason explained it to me well, that the church, he's thinking about that also, but that's not short term. That's more long term because of the tenants that's there. So at least that will give us time to think about, what's going to happen 5 years down the road. But for right now, he's talking about 391, demolishing that and making it a beautiful green space. So I'm trying to envision what we are saying that we want. That's what this board is for, to say what we want to see in our community. And then to envision also from a productive standpoint, what Jason is saying that's going to help our community, because I think we're all interested in helping our community move forward. As
And I agree
Commissioner
with you.
Santiago said.
And
So
without the people walking in these areas to support these businesses, businesses won't survive. So part of the reason you want housing and you want people here is so they can go into Juice to Find and fill it up, or they can go into a smoothie shop and fill it up. I've been around here on the week. There's no one walking here.
But there's also nothing here. So let's
Right.
also add
But I'm
that.
saying, but the
And
people-
there,
I'm saying traffic is what drives businesses.
so you have
if
traffic in terms of the commercial corridors that exist. So you have Amazon, you have a lot happening back there in the airport. There are people in this community that do walk this community, because I'm one of the people that walks this community. I agree with you fully, 100%, that we want housing here. But I think what you hear folks saying up here is that we want to make sure that housing is mixed with commercial. And so it is not just all, it's not all housing, but, and also I think the other thing that I would add is that, again, there are people here. And so we don't have to necessarily build in order to get people. There are people here that can take advantage of what we put in today.
yeah, I agree with that. So
Madam Chair, just let me put the set this. I am against all housing. You
okay.
have to have retail
Retail
at the
space.
bottom of all these buildings.
Okay.
So I'm not suggesting at all that we just build an apartment building. I'm suggesting that we build an apartment building with retail at the bottom. You can have the office on the second floor if you want, but retail has to be a part of it, because that's how you create the downtown feel. I'm completely against all just a housing complex.
Appreciate
It has to be, you have to have retail at the bottom to create
And
that.
I'm gonna sit down. If we have the one opportunity to start, because that's what we were talking about here is to start. If you said the CRA's goal is to own it itself and to have the ability to start it, then I guess the question becomes, then why wouldn't we? And that would be not listening to all the stories of all the other people who say they're going to develop with no money and all the other things that come along with that. But if you own the property and you have the opportunity to do it, the question would be, why wouldn't?
Thank you so much for your
Okay.
comments.
Let me just add, since we're on 240, I'm gonna wait to get that breakdown of the cost to actually tear down as opposed to rehab, because you said you had one done on one out of the six. So I guess the
391 or
assumption.
240?
Pardon me?
Are you talking about 391 or
I'm at 391 because that impacts how I look at some of the others. And I'm glad to hear you say you were not just talking about housing, but retail. But I'm still going to go back to housing, particularly in the downtown corridor, because I'm going to, as the chair said, take a point of personal memory privilege. I've sit here on many occasions, watch developers come here with the glossy brochure and the pictures, and it doesn't turn out what we want. But once the housing is there, it's there. You know, Starbucks, and I'm just going to use that. Starbucks coming downtown because we're going to have some amazing workforce housing. They may want to come. But if that housing changes, Starbucks is going to, as soon as their lease is up, depending on how it's structured, they're going to be out of here. And so going back to 240 bomb, and you said potential community space, and we already knew that we can't do a lot because of the current lease until end of 26, i.e. 27. So in the short term, you was talking about potential renting it out for parties, weddings, again. I'm assuming that would be your property manager that'll be doing that. I wouldn't mind seeing something like what you see a lot of these halls that rent out for individual things. I'm not really for getting somebody that's gonna think it's theirs. Hope you hear me clearly. Ms. Russell know what I'm talking about. They think it's theirs. They think it's theirs. And I know some of the discussions, you know, that think it's theirs. So if you're going to rent it out for a wedding or a funeral or a special church service, that's what it is. It's not, something more than that. So I'll wait to see how you present that. But I want to give Mr. Merritt a high five of why I'm saying what I'm saying. the senior complex right across from the post office was designed for senior citizens who were retiring, who were downsizing. And right before, and not this podium, but obviously a different podium, folks stood, developers, even some business people. It's going to attract business. Now, of course, I was not on the commission when they finally made the decision, although I was still following it, because I was very concerned who's going to come, what business is going to come downtown with senior housing. Second point, aren't going to need many parking spaces because they catch the senior shuttle. They take, okay, just look at that complex. Again, nothing on the folks in there, but look at the complex. Everybody's got a car. So you got cars parking all over the church lot who complain, all over. And then on top of it, I cannot really think of one business that came downtown. And even though we've done this mixed transit oriented, all those terminology used, one business that come downtown as a result of that complex. Not even a senior business. Not anybody that started walking canes, and I need one. They're not even here. So when people come before you about housing, it's going to track this or that, I'm always leery. I kind of think that our director, and that's why we have him here, has the insight on it to give us some suggestions. But I'm always going to be leery of housing and how that impacts, even with the businesses that may be on the first floor. And so that's why I want to see that, because I don't want to see all housing and just no other nightlife or whatever. So I'd like to see that as a part of that discussion. And then I'm going to put this out because I know you're trying to get other, but here's my general statement. I don't know when we're meeting again. You may have one more workshop. You may have one more workshop because I know some people are here to make it the tape. I want to hopefully, this is August, September. I want hopefully by October at the latest that you're going to have resolutions before us to make commitments. So we stop having these individual meetings. Everybody can come to the meeting and we're going to vote it up or down. We're demolishing 391. We're keeping 391. We're going to do rent space at 240. We get the other ones, and I know we're going to talk about them. We're going to do this with that, or we're going to do with that, and we're going to vote it. Because what I'm concerned about is this just kind of dragging, because nobody wants to actually, we got to make some decisions. Whatever that's going to be, so you as staff know which way you're going. So when people potentially even come to you, the board has made it clear we don't want that. Or the board has made it clear we're really interested in that. And the other part is, and I said it earlier, the stability. Because while we're talking about all this, and you see how you got information, people, if you decide to move to Dubai tomorrow because they give you a better offer, you're gone. Ms. Jerome, they know a little bit, but they're not going to be in a position. And we got potentially $10 million or $6 million, whatever it is, we got potentially sitting out there. Now, I'm not saying you're leaving, but that's always a concern for me. So after we have one more workshop, and I know it's tough trying to get this. And you see, you wind up with 4. Thankfully, Commissioner Sandell came by a little bit. Workshop, we're not voting, so you don't need a quorum. But one more workshop, however same process of updating, saying, and then by October, resolution before us, the board votes to do this, or this. Now, I think we're under consensus for the most part about getting rid of the month tenants. I think that's not an issue. What happens after that? The vote takes place. Tear it down, RFP, 240, rent, space. Here's what's allowable, property management, You sign off on it. And then the other things, the Chinese property, whatever else that we have to make some final decisions. Because I'm hearing up and down 1 minute, I like this and I don't, because we got folks trying to talk to us too. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't talk to anybody per se, but I'm trying to find out what the board is thinking. People watching now, they're gonna go back and look, and that's fine. But I just think the board has to make some decisions voting wise. So even when you meet with the city manager on the city side, hey, here's what the CRA said we're gonna do. So the city knows what they want to do or how you want to partner, so we can make some firm decisions. Because to me, we should have been further along with this. further along with this than we are. So to my fellow members, and I know those that are watching will see it, I'm hoping by October meeting at the latest, you're gonna have 5 resolutions or whatever, how many ever it takes. The board authorized the director to so he can move forward. That's what I'm hoping overall. Now we can finish discussion on the other individual, but that's what I would like to see.
I think it's a great point. Thank you for throwing that out there, Madam
And
Chair.
I'll ditto what, Board Member Kelly says. Because I know that you've had individual talks with board members, so you kind of know where we all are in our mind, and, you may be able to sway us some, but on some things you might not be able to sway us. So as Board Member Kelly said, some things are just gonna have to be brought and voted on. So, we've gotten through 2, the Chinese restaurant.
I've not added my comments in
Okay.
relation to this one, so I would love to. And then I'm with you that we'll move on to the third property. So we'll spend the last
Chinese
30, yep, we'll
restaurant.
spend the last 30 minutes talking about that. So I think, Board Member Kelly, you might have kind of alluded to this, that your opinions on 240 are dictated by perhaps some decisions that are made on the first property that we talked through. I hope I clarified that. I hope I said that correctly. And if not, my thoughts are similar, but I will say that I do love the idea. Like, I want to go on record for saying I do love the idea for potentially turning this into what I hear a venue rental space in the immediate. You came today with some points that I didn't know. I didn't know that it was at a place where we can just move. It's like move in ready. And so the idea is that we don't have to invest a lot into turning this into something where we've got to invest a lot in turning this other space into something. So it changes my thinking just slightly. So I can't wait to receive all the information that you're going to go out and share with us on 391, I think is the number. But I do love the idea of, in the immediate, turning this into event rental space. I think it accomplishes some of the goals that we talked about, activating, the downtown space. It's moving ready so we can start to get some income in the immediate, and then it allows us to decide what we want to do in the long term. So just want to put that on record. If it's okay, I'd love to move us to the next space.
Chinese.
Before we move to the next page, just on one of the things that I keep hearing, there was a survey done about airport businesses before we started. So one of the ideas is also, and we talked about this before, and it's not a standalone hotel, but maybe a hotel that's included in the apartment building, a small boutique hotel, because there's been a lot of talk about the pilots at the airport. One of the what do they desire most? And we've been told that they don't want to leave Opa-locka. They want to be close to their planes. Now they have to go to Miami Beach. They have to go to downtown Miami. And when they get ready to fly out, they have to come back all the way back to Opa-locka. They evidently don't like that. They want to be close to their planes. They want to wine. They want to eat, sleep near their planes. So if we can include something like that inside a development, not a standalone. I understand that there's some concern about that, but inside where you don't know the difference.
Boutique type hotel.
Yeah, but inside the building, so you don't even notice with inside the building. I think that would be something that would be beneficial as well. Moving on to 14401 Northwest 27th Avenue. Oh, and by the way, let me make a correction on the previous page when the vice chair gave out the square footage that was incorrect. That's the square footage of the interior. That's the square footage of the building. Even I think that's incorrect. But the total lot size is 10,800.
But for the turkey restaurant?
Yeah.
I think the entire lot, that includes.
It's not 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
I thought that seemed to be kind of small.
Okay.
What is it?
10,000. Yes.
Because I think the turkey space is on the same property as 391, right? And so all of that in total is 10,800. But if we're talking about just the turkey restaurant, it's about 1,000, I think. It's 1,600.
No. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
They sent me the wrong thing.
That's-
You're right.
You get us in shape. No, that's okay.
879 fishermen, not 780.
Yeah, I was just letting you frown.
Okay.
But I still don't think it's 1,600.
Okay, it might be a little bit.
It's too small.
So that's what I got from the property appraiser's website. It might be wrong. You're absolutely right. But talk us through which space are we again? We're talking through the Chinese. Talk us through the Chinese restaurant.
So the Chinese restaurant, I mean, we purchased it for $650,000 almost 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago. We went in, we spent, I believe, $10,000 to gut it and clean it. It's not all the way gutted and cleaned, I learned last week, but it's pretty much empty. There could still be some more work done to clean it out, but you could walk in there, it's pretty empty. We painted it, we took the sign down, we upgraded some electrical work. I stopped the work because I didn't want to do anything more, spending more money until we decided what we were going to do, because if somebody else wants it, they can spend that money instead of us. So right now, the decision would be to, this is something that I'm not advocating to tear down. I think we should keep it. I think we should make some modifications to it so that it's not looking so much like a Chinese restaurant, and for Chinese restaurants not going there. And that may mean removing some columns that are there, removing a part of the entryway, so it just looks like a regular, changing the face of it so it doesn't look like a Chinese restaurant per se. We have an unsolicited proposal that's been sitting for 6 months from Mr. Juice, Dr. Green, who wants to put a produce market in the space. He wants to buy it from us for $100,000 more than what we purchased it. He wants to buy it for $750. That's been on the table for 6 months. I'm not sure if he's still interested or not. I haven't heard from him. This space has a lot of interest. We've had lots of restaurateurs inquire about the space, and it's ready to go. So we can either do one of two things. We can either send out an RFP for someone to come in and open up a restaurant, and in that RFP, you could decide what type of restaurant you want. Why? Because we own the property. So if in that RFP you say, I want somebody to come in and open up a barbecue pit spot, then that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a whole bunch of people applying for a barbecue spot. If you want, a soul food spot, I want a soul food spot, and then you put that in RFP. Say, I want a soul food spot. They have to submit that into the they have to respond to that, or you can just be open in general and then see what you get. And so we could do that. We could send an RFP and see what we get back. I'm sure we're going to get some responses back because we've had lots of people look at this building. Or that's one process. Or the quickest process would be for us to agree, for you to agree on anybody. And say, you know what? We don't want to go through the RFP process. We want this person here. And we're going to waive the procurement requirements. And we're going to deal directly with KFC. I don't know. I'm just thinking of something. KFC wants to come here. We want to deal with KFC. We don't care who else comes. We want to waive all requirements, and we want to do a contract with KFC because that's what you want here. If you want to do that, do it that way. You could do it that way as well. But I'm not advocating that we tear down. I think we are moving forward to try to purchase the Ball property so that the space has parking because it needs parking. And that's it. And because we don't have the cash to purchase it right now because we ran out of money, frankly, we are talking to them about possibly doing a lease where we could lease it at a nominal fee per month right now. And then we'll have a clause in the lease that says that we have the first right to purchase when it comes up for purchase. But at least we lock it in and it doesn't get sold to someone else because we don't have the cash to do it now. But I think if we do a lease to own, we could do it that way.
Mr. I was going to go to Mr. Merrick and then I'll have us.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have to just say that this piece of property is such a pivotal, just the center of the city, that I think that I hope this board agrees that we do not sell it, especially into a fruit market of sorts or any of that stuff. I think that it because of where it's positioned, it just sends a message for everybody that comes into our community, who we are as a community, and the type of things that you will see and feel in this community. So I would urge this board to, in this case, hold on to this property, and possibly, as the director said, think of a specific business to go in this property, something that's not just, like the guy over here would put a thrift shop or something like that in there, that we really think about what type of message that we want to send to others that come to Opa-locka about the type of businesses they're going to see when they first come here. And I just think the way this place is positioned is just so important about setting our own image for us as a city. So that's really all I want to say, that if you had to think about it, this is definitely one of those ones not to sell, because it just sets the tone for our city. And the person that goes in there should definitely be someone that, that it aspires to be more like Opa-locka rather than just the discounters.
Thank you so much for that, Madam Chair.
I like the idea of holding on to it. I'm very concerned about the parking. I've always been concerned about the parking. And frankly, Mr. Director, I kind of like that look that it has on the outside. I think you could bring someone in and could really make that. I thought it was more of a Moorish. I thought it was more in that line than I did Chinese. But I kind of like it. It's kind of bulky, but I think with the right person, they can kind of make it look nice, because it's a staple. It really is a staple signature for people that have been in Opa-locka for years. I don't restaurant. I really think it would be great on that corner. I don't know whether it would drive through. I don't know whether that could happen because of the business in the back. That would be my first thought, that it become a drive-through. But now, since I know we've been working on the Ball property since we purchased that building, and is up and down, up and down. So we do need parking. And if we were not able to get something with parking, would you still be thinking restaurant?
Yes.
Where would the people park?
On the street.
Where they parked before?
There's parking right there on the street for all those cars where the car shop people store their cars. There's a space on the street.
On the Alabama side?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I never paid any attention.
Called off-street parking.
There you go.
Everybody claims. Everybody claims. Everybody claims the same parking spot, off-street parking.
I'm done, but a restaurant is good, but and I like Chinese food, so.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I don't advocate selling it. I never really have. I would prefer, obviously, to see a sit-down restaurant establishment, but I kind of agree. Well, not kind. I do have the same sentiments that the resident mentioned, and that is it's a staple area. It is like a staple area of our city, and that's one of the reasons why I pushed so hard for us to purchase it, because I was so afraid of what might be there, which we wouldn't want to see. So I like the idea of holding on to it. Obviously, we get the Ball property, that changes how, the uses and whatever. But I think where it is now, it doesn't hurt us and we own it. I would like to ask, because I know we had brought up about the food trucks on their, weekends, or, yeah, on the weekends or something. whatever happened with that, just to generate some revenue for the upkeep of the building until we made a long-term decision? Whatever happened with that?
So, I've been waiting for this meeting. We have one group that's very much interested. They called me 2 weeks ago. I told them that we were having this meeting and that I would bring it up during this discussion. They want to, before they submitted a proposal to us where we paid them to coordinate. Now they're willing to pay us to be there. And they're ready to go. They want to do 2 food trucks every weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And they were gonna rotate those. It won't be the same 2 food trucks. So the attorney's not here, but I need to ask him how we would engage. But if there's no objection to us having a food truck there, I will start the process of working with the attorney, getting the agreements together, working with the city to make sure that the vendor has all the necessary permits, and we can have somebody. I mean, this guy wanted to start last weekend.
So it's two.
Go for it.
So it's 2. I thought was looking at, you had enough space for 3, so now it's just 2, or?
Well, this is what this group is
Oh, this
suggesting
group
too.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I'm going back to my original statement. Who would actually be overseeing this?
The property manager.
The property
that we
manager, management, or whoever.
hired. We got to get it started before they
No,
start.
but I'm saying 3 months from now, it's not gonna be you trying to decide which truck gonna be there
No.
this weekend.
No.
Okay, so the property management that we would hire, you would have, would oversee this.
Correct.
So the idea is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you have 2, whatever, 3 food trucks out there
And they'll be
selling.
rotating.
Well, I mean, but the
I
property
mean,
manager,
they're
yes,
rotating.
the property manager would be in charge of making sure they rotate out every
Okay.
so long. I don't know if there's what is every 2 months, every month. I don't know how that worked, but
Yeah, and they said that they would provide their own lighting, they would provide their own trash pickup, they would provide everything. We don't have to do anything but provide the space.
no, I listen. It's a great space. I'm quite sure they don't have a problem with that part. I just want to make sure. I don't want anybody calling us saying I was trying to get a spot out there and they won't let me. That's what I'm really getting at. So that's really a decision that your property management, how you and attorney lay out the agreements. So it's going to be rotating. One truck doesn't have monopoly. That's what I'm getting at.
Mhm.
You know, if you're going to have tacos for 2 months and you have ribs or combination. The idea is to have a combination, really.
Yeah,
So you have some
I think
diversity
so.
all the time. That's what I would suggest.
3
But
trucks.
I like that idea. Keep the property, get some general revenue. There's some movement there, and you could actually take that little revenue if you got to do some other little touch up in the building temporarily. You could use that as opposed to coming out of our general fund budget and see how that works. May turn out that might work better for a short term while you're working on the ball issue or whatever. Yeah, I think that's yeah, we need to do that. To me, you need to go forward, at least working on the documentation structure.
And on the ball property,
And also to follow up with that, Mr. Director, that could probably translate to over here where you're thinking about demolishing 391. And you were thinking about some food trucks, then you might have 2 area where you could rotate food trucks and have open space. Kind of like the Nomi space.
Yeah, the Nomi Village.
Yes.
Interesting. So I will say I echo everyone's thoughts, and that I think I like the idea of a restaurant going here. I've been sitting here looking at the maps. One, there are a handful of kind of residential properties. You've got I think it's senior housing that's being built just a few blocks down, right? So there's affordable housing developer where it's senior housing I mean, it looks like it's about to be online any day now. So you'll have some folks coming through. So in developing a restaurant, putting a restaurant there, I think about there's a restaurant, if I'm not mistaken, on 22nd Avenue. There's a couple of restaurants, maybe
Home style.
That's on 27th though, right?
22nd is on home.
Oh, Homestyle is on 27th, you're right, or 22nd. And then on 27th, there is Jackson's.
Jackson's.
Sylvia's exist as well. So I think one of the things that I'm sitting here asking myself the question is, should this be a restaurant? And I think I'm coming to the like I think I'm with you on yes, but I want us to think about all the other places that exist here. So know that that's just what I'm thinking about in my mind. I'm just gonna all this is just word vomit. I don't know that it is fully articulate. I love the idea of changing the facade, Mr. Walker. Love the idea. I do think it is Chinese right now. It's not Moorish. Would love to see us turn it into something that looks a little bit more Moorish. But I am just asking myself, like, what's the highest use of this property? I love that it sits on the corner. I agree that it is in a high traffic hub area. People are using that 27th Avenue corridor to get to work. It is very busy in the mornings. I could see the value of it being one of only a few sit-down restaurants in the area. So I see that being kind of a good thing. But also the question I'm asking myself is what else is missing in that neighborhood? And so I just throw that out for everybody. Don't fully have the answer, but yeah.
I'll answer. We don't have in the city a sit-down restaurant. Nothing against Sylvia's or Jackson. They're not even open
Sit
some of the times, 1
Yeah.
o'clock, they're shut down.
Right.
I'm talking about in the afternoon and or the evening.
Yeah.
You don't want to cook or family comes in town, you got to leave town for a sit-down restaurant. And I know restaurants can be tricky and whatever, and that's where I think the CRA plays a vital role in crafting that proposal, that RFP or whatever you want to call it, because we don't have sit down. We got places to eat, but we don't have sit down restaurant in the city, and we need it. Whether it's there, whether it's the old Idas, we don't, because even sometimes when I'm having meetings, oh, I'll come over for lunch. I got to think, where am I going to really go in the city
That's right.
for lunch? You know, now if it's morning, I could go to potentially Jackson, but it's probably gonna be crowded.
Too
You
crowded.
know, it's too crowded. Nothing against the food, but just it.
And
but-
you can't get
Right,
it.
but after 1, they're closing. Okay, I think Sylvia's is open, but it's not really conducive to sit down. It's more of a get it and go. And the only way I think we're gonna have that is we have to develop that ourselves. But I think people will come, not just Opa-locka. Because like you said, the traffic patterns
Mhm.
are all over. But if I know there's a nice sit-down restaurant on 27 and that location, I will stop there to eat. I think the key is in what the director said. If that's the route that we eventually want to go, you put it in the RFP. You craft it in such a way, this is what we're looking for. Now, looking at takeout, yes, you may have a drive-through, but this is not drive-through driven.
Yeah.
Want you to be able to sit down, prepare the food where people can actually sit in here and eat. Now, we don't get any proposals on that, then we have to reconsider. But this is one of those where in the short term, you got the food trucks, you got obviously still working on balls and that thing, but you are not as concerned about generating the revenue because it's too important to just want to do something quick. So that's one of those. And again, same thing, October, bring it back. Here's the options, whichever way we're going. The director has to clear. But in the meantime, the food trucks are there. It's got some activity, generate a little revenue. Come back with an RFP for the restaurant. Crafting as such, we want to see a sit-down restaurant.
And
So that means that the food, the fruit stand is out.
No, we didn't say it's out. That's part of what he bring back. And in those resolution, the option, the board, he wants a food stand, a fruit stand, whatever that is, or he want a restaurant. But at least he has his direction.
Okay.
And
which
can I
way you
add to
wanna
you,
go?
Yes,
Vice
please, go.
Mayor Kelly, that one of the things that we said specifically today was about timing and how it takes time. And I think a coordinated effort with all these things happening would really invest or would interest people. Seeing things like, you know, we were talking about the building across the street being torn down and seeing new signs about new development coming up, seeing more food trucks here. And I think that as I've had to fight with myself over a year, we want things immediately. But I think these little small steps will help attract the bigger restaurants or the more interested parties in time. And I think these are really the good foundational steps. If we can kind of coordinate all these properties that you've acquired and show people and interested parties are interested moving forward, then we may not get the perfect sit down diner that we want right away, but I think it'll definitely generate interest down the line because people will begin to see that and move in that direction. And I think that's what we all kind of desire, because none of us, many times I want to get up and have coffee outside, sit down somewhere and just chill and not be Jackson's or surely not Sylvia's. This is what we want. I think these coordinated efforts, these small steps are good. And like you said, Vice Mayor, having a resolution and deciding and doing those things definitely leads, I think, down the line to more interested parties. So I'm interested in seeing that. I'm so glad you guys invited me today.
I'm going to put this on the record also that in my discussions with the Ball family and the realtor, if we did decide to lease the space, they would allow us to demolish the building
Nice.
and make it a parking space. So that's a good thing. We obviously wouldn't want to lease it without having parking. So I had to have her say that that would be okay. So we can demolish and
Yep.
Use it as a parking
and
space.
put some parking. And when we get the budget, I think we put money, Jerome, in the budget for demolishing properties, just
Beautiful.
in case.
That's awesome. So I would love, so we've got just under 15 minutes left, about 13 minutes left. And so I would love to maybe use the last 13 minutes to talk about what happens from here, if that's okay. And I will attempt to sum up what I've heard, but I encourage everybody to jump in if I've missed anything, because I probably did. So
Missing the property.
So we have 13 minutes. I think I've already maybe aligned that we are going to have a set. So thank you for calling that out. We have 13 minutes left. I assumed we were going to have another conversation. So I will ask this group, do you all want to try to talk about those 13 property, I'm sorry, that last property in these last 13 minutes, or do we want to talk about what happens from here?
I would like to see us at least, just in short, say what we would like that property to be. And because the next workshop that we have, I hope we're not gonna, we're gonna come with some ideas that this board, has given to the director. And we don't want to start this conversation all over again, because then we'll spend another 3 hours
Okay.
and we won't get through anything.
Beautiful. So then what I will do, if it's okay, I'm going to give us 10 minutes to have this conversation so that I can save the last 5 minutes for us to wrap up. And I am committed to getting us out of here at 3.
Okay.
Okay. So 10 minutes. Mr. Director, is there anything that you want to say about this property that we should know going into this discussion?
2145.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so 2145 is a small property. It's near where the chairwoman's office is. There's a chairwoman's office.
Used to be.
Used to be, sorry, old office. There's a chairwoman's office that the city owns. Then there's a city park. Then there's our property. And then there's a fenced-in property that's privately owned, but the city has a lien on it for over $1 million. And then there's another and then there's a CDC. 10 North owns 2 properties within this development. There was a private property that was in the middle of this that we decided to buy in case of future development, so we don't have to deal with those people. But we would need to we would need to collaborate with the city and the CDC. And we've already started talking with the private property owner that has a lot in the fence. And then Ariel Lundy owns property on the backside that was given to him by the county. So you would take that entire block plus our little small piece there. That's what was stopping a potential development, because they were kind of the hole in the donut, and that's what we purchased. So now we are part of that. So the idea is to convene the city, the CDC, and the private property owner and do a joint development on that site. This is in its very infant stages right now, But that's the idea behind purchasing this property. Right now, it's just vacant land. We're gonna put a community. You probably saw some sod out there dumped. We're gonna do a community garden on the site, grow some cabbage and collard greens and tomatoes. In the meantime, while we look at doing a bigger development in the future.
And the bigger development, this is, I assume, housing?
No retail.
No retail here, so just strictly
This
housing.
would be housing, yes.
Okay.
And that would be, and that's not just for me, that's because 10 North owns 2 of the properties that are in that site. That would be their they've already told us, the lawyer, Lisa. Lita, that it would have to be housing. Or else they're not participating. So
Who's leading this charge?
we are trying to convene everybody.
Great.
There was a meeting recently that was had in the managers conference room with the leadership of the 10 North group and the leadership of the city. We attended, we were invited, and we brought this up that, we own this property now. We want you all to get together. Lita was supposed to call me. She hasn't called me about that. But we're basically trying to corral everybody to sit at the table. We reached out to the private property owner. He's very excited to do something.
Great.
He's already he called a couple weeks ago and said, that he has a development team that he wants to introduce us to that could possibly do the project. So no one's leading it right now. We're trying to nudge everybody to get to the table.
Yeah.
But we did the most important thing, which is to get that hole in the donut cleared by purchasing 2145.
Beautiful. Well, maybe there's room for you to lead this and bring it to fruition. It might be too premature to ask this question, but I wonder if we would be part developer in this deal so that then we're receiving funds over the long haul from this deal. Mr. Director.
I'm sorry, this is the state.
That's okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
We've been having a major problem with payments. So I know Ms. Vice Mayor knows, but between the vacation of July and August, between the local state guy and the state guy, we've been behind on payments, so we're trying to figure this out.
So let me ask a question. In the meantime, we're looking at putting a garden, I think you said a community garden, on the entire site with all of those owners together, or just on the site that the CRA owns?
Just at the site that the CRA owns for now.
Oh,
But we will be seeking agreements with the other people to put stuff on their site as well.
okay. Does the part that the CRA owns, are they within that fenced in area?
No.
So we're where it's opened out? Okay. Okay. So our site is the one that looks like it needs to be cut?
No, it's fine. It's on the east side of where the fence is. It's closer to the park and to your building.
Okay, okay.
It actually looked like it's part of the park, but it's not.
Part of the park.
Do you have any comments that you want to put on the record while we wait?
No, I'm done.
Okay. I'm gonna move us into wrapping in. I'm gonna move us into wrapping this up and talking about some next steps. So, Mr. Director, while you're doing that, I imagine that your staff is taking notes so that everyone's aligned in terms of what we'll be doing.
Yeah, we actually, which it's never 3 hours, but we actually go back and look at the tapes and take notes. So
Beautiful.
but this is gonna take a longer time.
Exactly. And there's some action items here. So beyond just the notes that we need to approve, I'm more so talking about kind of the action items in preparation for our next meeting. So one, I heard you loudly and clearly. You want to make
Next
sure.
meeting or next workshop?
Thank you. So I don't think we need the notes for the next workshop. I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think, are you planning to give us, so I don't think we need notes for the next workshop. So I think if any of our other board members are going to come, hopefully they can take a look at the tape so that they will be able to catch up on the conversation. But I think in terms of the next workshop, we would want to have a workshop, I would say somewhere in the next 2 to 4 weeks would be my recommendation, with the idea that by the October board meeting, we are prepared to make some decisions. So that is number one. I think number two, there were a handful of things that we discussed, your team coming back to us with. So in terms of 391 Opa-locka Boulevard, I think we talked about understanding how much it will cost to repair, but then we also talked about what potential income revenue could look like. I think on the church property, we talked about potentially turning that into a performing arts center. I don't think there were any asks of administration that you all needed to see in order for us to make decisions on that. Is that correct?
I didn't have any.
Okay. Mr. Kelly?
No, not directly, no. This, it's supposed to be, you said performing arts, I don't know.
Or whatever it turns into, yeah.
He just used the term community space, so I was just leaving it very broad.
Okay, well, we'll call it community space then. We haven't decided what it is. So no action items for you on that. And then I think on the third space, which is the Chinese space, there were a couple of asks, and this is where my note taking would arise. So what do you recall? What is it that you guys are bringing to us and for that meeting so that we can make decisions?
We said restaurant, and I think what they would be bringing back is to let us know what is the status concerning the ball property, acquiring the ball property, and then you're gonna move forward with the food trucks on that area. So those will be the cleanup things that they would have to bring us back. And Madam Moderator, if I can,
Yes.
we didn't give them as an action item how they're gonna go about removing the tenants that are currently there, you know.
We're
3
not doing
months.
it. The lawyer's gonna.
Okay,
Yeah, and I don't, my hope is that we don't need that to make a decision in terms of what we want to do with the space, but that will be something that we can talk about in the future. But
yeah, how long we're gonna give them to, if they're gonna move out, you know,
yeah.
it might not, you know, have no bearing on how we move forward with the space, but I think we should know what is the plan in moving forward in getting the tenants to be, what word did you use? Board Member Gilly?
It's been 3 hours, so
It's
it's
been
like,
3 hours.
I'm with
Oh.
you. I'm with you.
Move them out. Not move, not move them out, but
Just, I don't know, but we're with you. We totally understand what you're saying.
okay.
Okay. And then I think we talked about potentially taking the Chinese space to RFP. And so I don't think that there's anything that you need to bring to us for the workshop.
No,
but
I will want, so as a matter of fact, I just got an email from the people that are helping us with the RFP. They want a meeting on Tuesday. So on the restaurant, I do probably need to talk to each of you about what you want that RFP. By the way, it's perfect timing for October because all of these RFPs are going to be finished by September. So you'll have the opportunity to vote on, basically I need your input. They just sent me an email on Tuesday that they want my input. I think we're gonna probably have to sit down with each of you with this consultant and just get your ideas on what you all want to see, so that while they're crafting the RFP now, for example, the Chinese restaurant, do we do a broad?
can we have them come to the workshop? And that way we can just talk it all
We can do
out.
that,
Yeah,
perfect.
let's have them come to the workshop. Beautiful. So what I want to get clear on is we've decided what the action items are. And at our next workshop, we are going to pick up on the conversation. Our plan is not to rehash this conversation.
Great.
We've got a handful of options on the table that we want to start to get closer to defining exactly what it is that we're going to do. Does that kind of sum up what we discussed today? Or is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for 3 hours of your day.
Yeah.
This was a productive conversation. Thank you, staff, for putting this together. Looking forward to doing it again.
Thank you.
Mr. Director, the sheet that you all gave us on, city properties under.
Record